Christian Eriksen Euro 2020. In one of the scariest events in recent football history, Christian Eriksen collapsed mid-game in the 43rd minute in Denmark's Euro Cup group stage fixture against Finland. There was a frenzy all around. The medics stormed the pitch immediately, and the Denmark team doctor discovered Eriksen was slowly losing his pulse. There wasn't even a second to lose. They started giving him CPR while the Danish players choked away tears and formed a circle around the dying midfielder to shield the scene from public view. It was about 10 minutes of absolute drama. Players couldn't stop crying. The Danish captain was seen consoling Eriksen's wife and reassuring them not to lose hope. The immediate efforts were fruitful as the eerie silence that had descended around the Parken Stadium was replaced with massive cheers. They had pulled Eriksen back to life and he was rushed to the hospital for further care. To the players' credit, they resumed the match after a pause of about 90 minutes. Denmark lost the game 1-0, but the heart shown by his teammates to finish the game after seeing their star man rush to the hospital deserved admiration. Number 2. Petr Cech, one of the most iconic goalkeepers to ever play the game. You're familiar with Petr Cech and his headgear. We think of Cech and his head guard automatically comes to us. But this wasn't always the case. What led to him using this for the rest of his career was a horrible in-game incident in 2006. Diving to make a save at the feet of Reading's midfielder Stephen Hunt, Cech took a blow to the head that fractured his skull. He was taken out by a stretcher and was replaced by the substitute keeper. Cech underwent surgery for a depressed skull fracture. Initially unaware of the seriousness of the injury, the doctors later reported that it nearly cost Cech his life. And as a result of the collision, he suffered intense headaches. Chelsea was without their main goalkeeper for several months. In an interview later, Cech said he had no memory of the injury. Number 3. Thiago Silva, one of the best defenders of our generation, the man who has won accolades wherever he has played. You'd be shocked to know that his career was set to end even before it barely blossomed. In 2006, Silva was just 21 years old and playing on loan for the Russian side Dynamo Moscow. The city was very cold, and Silva had a hard time settling in. He started experiencing high temperatures, coughing fits, and severe sweating. Initially, the Brazilian thought it was nothing serious, so he let it be. But after a few days, symptoms worsened, and Silva struggled to breathe. He was immediately sent to the hospital where doctors conducted a series of tests to determine what was wrong. They were staggered to learn that he was suffering from a severe case of tuberculosis. The bacteria inside had been eating his lungs for 6 months now. To put this into perspective, Thiago Silva was 2 weeks away from death. It would have been fatal if he had been brought in any later. There were a lot of problems during his treatment, too. The family was advised by medical staff that the center back needed a part of his right lung to be cut out for him to survive. But his mom and wife stepped in and advised against surgery. In a way, this is what saved his career. He eventually became healthy again, but during that dark time, Silva thought about retiring. His Russian nightmare ended in 2006 when he returned to his home with Fluminense. His career has been on a high ever since, but what a loss it would have been if it ended in Moscow. Number 4. Sergio Aguero, a skillful striker who could score goals for fun. He was one of the best strikers in the Premier League before his move to Barcelona in 2021. The Argentine started brightly for the Catalunya side and even scored in the El Clasico. But on the 30th of October 2021, Sergio Aguero was taken to a hospital for tests after suffering chest discomfort as Barcelona drew against Alaves. Aguero went down clutching the top of his chest and received treatment for several minutes before being helped off the pitch just before halftime. In a thorough cardiac exam conducted later, Aguero was diagnosed with cardiac arrhythmia. This forced him to announce his retirement in December. We all saw him celebrate with his teammates after winning the World Cup in 2022. Do you think he would have been a part of the team if it weren't for his heart condition? Nevertheless, he will go down in history books as an Argentine and Man City legend. Number 5. Raul Jimenez. The Wolves striker had a brilliant campaign for a club and country, being the club's top scorer in the previous season. The Mexican entered the 2022 campaign with great hopes. Things went south in November 2020. Jimenez suffered a fractured skull and severe head trauma after clashing with the then Arsenal defender David Luiz, missing almost a year of action. In an interview later, Jimenez revealed that he had looked at the footage and took responsibility for the clash. The Mexican said, "David was going with the intention of heading the ball. Unfortunately, it was on my head." Jimenez was told his career could end but has now fully recovered. Much like Petr Cech, he has been wearing a head guard ever since. Do you think Jimenez will regain his old form? Number 6. Lionel Messi. Yes, the GOAT himself. The injury that could have potentially ended Messi's career occurred in 2017. Barcelona was taking on Juventus in the UCL fixture. Pjanic and Messi went up for the air ball, but Messi, on his impact with Pjanic, lost control and landed on his face, almost breaking his neck. Doctors say if it were 33 millimeters to the side, Messi would have broken his neck. The margins were that close. Can you even imagine otherwise? That would have been the saddest day in football history if he had fallen a fraction sideways. Messi would have never had his fairy tale World Cup triumph. Football would have been incomplete. Number 7. You know who number 7 is. SIU. Cristiano Ronaldo. Talking of GOATs, CR7 had a life-threatening experience, but his was off the pitch. It was during his United days, January 2009. Ronaldo crashed his Ferrari sports car into a roadside barrier in a tunnel near Manchester Airport. Pictures emerged of the car, and it's horrible. Ronaldo was on the way to Old Trafford for training when the accident occurred. It's surprising that the winger later arrived at the ground and even participated in the training session. A true professional indeed. It was later reported by the witnesses that Ronaldo got out of the car and stood beside the wreckage as if nothing happened. Ronaldo had a habit of striking a pose near what he wrecked. Can you picture the front row seat celebration after scoring the second in the 3-0 demolition of Atletico Madrid in the 2017 UCL semifinal? Mr. UCL for a reason. Number 8. Didier Drogba. The last person on today's list is another Chelsea legend, Didier Drogba. Drogba was at the peak of his powers during the Chelsea days. The striker was unstoppable, arguably the best striker to wear the Chelsea Blues. But in August 2011, the Ivory Coast international collided with Canaries goalkeeper John Ruddy in the Barclays Premier League clash between Chelsea and Norwich at Stamford Bridge. The collision was brutal. Drogba was on the pitch unconscious for almost 8 minutes. If that had ended his career, he would have never seen that 88th minute bullet header in the 2012 UCL final against Bayern Munich. This forced the match to an extra time, and as they say, the rest is history. Drogba even scored the winning penalty kick. What a game, what a moment. Thus, we've come to the end of today's video. There are a lot of names we missed. Leave some in the comments. We'll be back with more exciting content. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button and stay tuned for more.